Welcome to this deep dive, especially for you, the learner. Today we're digging into something pretty common for English learners, that mental translation step, the one that, slows down speaking.
Yes, that hurdle. It's a big one.
Exactly. So we're looking at insights from EnglishAnyone.com, specifically their article, How to Think in English, 7 Ways to Change Your Inner Language. You shared this, likely looking for, practical ways to bridge that gap between understanding and just speaking smoothly. Our mission today is to unpack these 7 ways, see how you can actually start thinking in English, get faster, more confident.
Sounds good. It's a crucial shift.
And a quick shout out to English Podland Studio for putting out useful stuff like this for learners everywhere.
Definitely helpful resources out there.
Okay, so let's start with the problem itself. The article kicks off with this scenario. Super relatable, right? Someone asks, "What did you have for breakfast?"
Yeah, the simple questions sometimes.
And your brain just goes into overdrive, translating the question to your language, figuring out the answer there, then translating it back to English before you even say anything.
It's exhausting just thinking about it. And that delay, that whole internal gymnastics routine, that's what kills fluency.
It really is. It's like running with ankle weights on, like the article implies.
Totally. And thinking directly in English.
Yeah.
That just removes the weights, cuts out the middleman, allows for, direct expression.
Much more immediate. And the article talks about the benefits then, beyond just speed.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about talking faster. It's deeper than that.
Like overall language proficiency gets better.
Exactly. Because you're not just swapping words. You're engaging with English meaning, the nuances, the way ideas are actually shaped in English. It forces a richer understanding.
That makes sense. And then things like better fluency, obviously, but also better writing skills, feeling more comfortable. It all seems connected.
It all flows from that internal shift.
Yeah.
When English becomes the language of your thoughts, not just a code to translate.
They call it a hallmark of fluency. That feels pretty significant.
It is. It signals real integration. And they even mention cognitive flexibility. Your brain gets more agile working in another language system.
So the big question then. How do you do it? How do you make that switch? The article gives us 7 ways. Let's tackle the first one.
Okay.
And this one, it might surprise some people. Don't force yourself to speak. Kind of goes against the grain, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. The usual advice is speak, speak, speak. But this leans on Dr. Stephen Krashen's ideas about comprehensible input.
Right. The idea that you need to understand a lot of English first.
Precisely. You need to take in language you understand, through listening mostly. Forcing speech before you have that solid base. It can backfire, lead to frustration.
Like trying to pour from an empty jug, as they say.
Great analogy. You fill the jug first with understanding. Listening builds that internal knowledge, the confidence. Then speaking emerges more naturally, more accurately.
So it's less about pushing words out and more about letting understanding build up until speaking feels.
Well, ready? Exactly.
Yeah.
Your brain is doing a lot of work passively when you're just listening and understanding. Making connections, seeing patterns.
Okay, I see. That leads nicely into the second strategy. Learn words in varied contexts.
This is key. We've all done it right. Learn one translation for a word.
Definitely. And then you hear it used differently and you're completely lost. Like, wait, that's not what it means.
Exactly. The article points out native speakers often think of a situation first, then access different words or phrases for it. Relying on one translation is like having only one tool if you can't recall that one specific word.
You're stuck, even if you grasp the idea.
Right. So the recommendation is to do what we did as kids, learning our first language. Associate the word with situations, with images, with feelings, not just a definition.
So instead of just happy word in my language, you connect happy to seeing smiles, good news, that feeling of joy, all sorts of contexts.
Precisely. You build a network of meaning around the word in English. They mentioned the Frederick app as something that helps show words in context, spelling, pronunciation, usage. Sounds useful.
It does sound helpful. Moving beyond one-to-one mapping. Okay, number 3 builds on this. Use phrases in the right context.
Yeah, same idea, but for chunks of language. Idioms are the classic example.
Like butterflies in my stomach. if you translate that word for word.
Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
You need to connect the feeling of nervousness, the situation of being anxious, directly to that whole phrase.
So associate the feeling with the phrase itself.
Yes. And the article makes another good point. Understanding the context often shows you other ways to say the same thing, like my stomach is tied in knots.
Ah, right. So you learn the concept and multiple ways to express it in English. More flexibility.
Exactly. You understand the idea within English, not just a single fixed phrase.
Okay, number 4. Connect whole sentences with situations. This feels like the next logical step up.
It is. From words in context, phrases in context, now to full thoughts expressed directly.
They use that bakery example. Smelling the bread triggers a thought, like, that reminds me of home. Entirely in English.
Yeah, a lovely example. The smell leads directly to an English thought and sentence. No translation needed. The smell of fresh baked bread reminded me of home, so I had to stop in.
And trying to translate that whole thought on the fly, you'd miss the moment completely.
And forget it. Too slow. So building those direct situation-to-sentence connections is crucial for real-time conversation.
Training your brain to think in English units.
Basically, yes. It comes from consistently linking those smaller elements, words, phrases, to situations. Then sentence construction gets smoother.
Makes sense. Strategy 5 is naturally varied review. What's this about? Sounds less like drilling flashcards.
Definitely. The idea is listening to different native speakers talking about the same topic.
Oh, interesting. Why different speakers?
Well, you hear different vocabulary choices, slight variations in phrasing, different perspectives. It deepens your understanding of both the topic and the language used to discuss it. More nuance.
So how do you do that practically?
The article suggests picking a topic you like, finding maybe a few YouTube videos or podcasts with native speakers on that topic, and just listen actively. Notice the words, the phrases they use.
So you're getting varied exposure to the language around a single theme, reinforces it naturally.
Exactly. It's review, but it's dynamic and varied, not just rote repetition.
Okay. Number 6. Surround yourself with different native speakers. This sounds related, but maybe more active.
Yeah, it's taking that varied input idea into the real world, or at least into real interactions. They quote that saying, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Applying that to language learning.
Right. Interacting with people who have different accents, different ways of speaking, different tones. It sharpens your listening skills like crazy.
And forces your brain to adapt and understand English as it's actually spoken with all its variety.
It's another form of that varied review, but through immersion and interaction. Really helps you tune your ear and consequently helps you think in that more flexible way.
Get you comfortable with the diversity of spoken English.
Precisely. Moves you beyond maybe one textbook accent or style.
Okay, final one, number 7. Go deep on topics.
This one's really powerful, I think, especially for more advanced learners or professionals.
How does it work?
Basically, if you develop real expertise or deep knowledge about a subject in English, reading about it, listening to talks, discussing it, you inevitably start thinking about that subject in English.
Because all the concepts and vocabulary are already mapped out in English in your brain.
Exactly. The deeper your understanding of the content in English, the more readily available the language is for thinking and speaking about it. It's not just abstract vocabulary anymore. It's tied to knowledge you actively use.
So leverage your interests or your work.
Yeah.
If you love cooking, dive deep into English cooking blogs, shows, recipes.
Yes, or your professional field, technology, history, whatever it is. That depth of knowledge in English naturally fosters thinking in English about that topic. They mention a related YouTube video for more on this too.
Cool. So a lot to take in there. So the learner, we've gone through these 7 strategies from EnglishAnyone.com. It really seems the core idea is shifting away from that constant translation and moving towards associating words, phrases, sentences directly with situations, feelings, contexts, getting that deeper contextual understanding.
Absolutely. It's about making English a direct channel for your thoughts, not something you're constantly decoding and re-encoding. It takes effort, for sure.
Yeah, consistency seems key. We hope this deep dive gave you some, aha moments, some practical things you can try.
Yeah.
Maybe think about which of these 7 really clicks with you right now. Where could you start? What situations do you catch yourself translating in the most? Or what topics are you genuinely curious to explore more deeply, but in English this time?
Good starting questions.
Those could be your next steps. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
But just remember, the learner, it's a process. Thinking in English doesn't happen overnight. Be patient with yourself.
Good point.
Keep engaging with these ideas. Notice the small improvements. They add up. You'll get closer to that effortless fluency you're looking for.